PCD, PCD, PCDcast.
Welcome back to PCDcast. I recorded a conversation with Mike Sim, who is a financial services expert based in Singapore. Mike and I will unpack the latest trends, both from the fund management world and the private wealth sector, in this booming Asian professional services hub. Hope you enjoy it.
Thank you for having me and the invitation to be on PCDcast. I'm honored to be on your channel again. You know, the last time when we have a channel recording was more than 2 years ago. And also we met up at a PCD event held in November 2022 in Singapore. So thank you very much for having me again.
It was a wonderful trip back in Singapore there. My memories of it are super positive. We had a great few days together and had a lovely event at the Ritz-Carlton there in Singapore. But it'd be great to see you again soon. I know you come to London every so often. That's right. Yes,
I'm looking forward to heading up towards London. So when I'm there, I will definitely give you a heads up and hope to attend some of the PCD event.
Fantastic. So we're going to talk today about opportunities in Singapore. We're going to shine a light on some of the parts of the financial services sector that are growing. There's lots of new trends to update our audience on. And perhaps you could just give us some of the key areas of which you think financial services in Singapore is growing and developing and is interesting at the moment.
Right, yeah. So things has much changed, accelerated quite a fair bit ever since we last met in November 2022. So for the last 2 years, right, the family offices are all bubbling up. And not only just that, fund managers are all setting up their offices in Singapore. So we have been, Singapore has been known as a trusted operating hub, financial operating hub with a robust ecosystems and networks, very vibrant investment opportunities, and also there's a great pool of talents over here. Well, this is all thanks to our stable government and also the strong currency that we actually hold, the Sing dollar. So to let the readers have a great feel of what actually happens, in November 2022, we have about 500 family offices set up in Singapore. But by right now, as we speak, the number has grown over the last 2 years to 1,400 family offices that has been approved. Well, and it is still growing, right? Amazing. Well, so amazing. So you calculate the CAGR growth, right? Is more than about 43.1% over 3 years. I would say that Singapore is welcome for business, and amazing over in Asia. There's plenty of opportunities. Yeah,
that's some explosive growth in the sort of family office, ultra high net worth sector. How has that impacted the offerings in the market? Are there new offerings and people coming in to provide services to these types of clients?
Well, that's a good question. So for most people, right, they come from various countries. These are high net worth individuals. So it's very similar like during the olden days where Singapore first started. So we started as a trading hub. We trade spices, tea, polythene, silks, and other luxury items. So you can take a look at we are just like a Jersey, right? So it's a point where you can travel out 35 minutes to London and within less than 1 hour to elsewhere. So Singapore itself, right, is very much similar. So it's a strategic location along with major trade routes to Southeast Asia, facilitating it as a trading hub. So that attracts a lot of merchants over here. And the government has built it up over into a financial hub. That is even more attractive. So what we do see is that there are some old money and new money of family officers establishing here. So they bring about a few things. Number one, culture. Wow, that's fantastic. A lot of various, very vibrant culture that comes in. And they also bring in their homeland food over here. So very delicious, tasty stuff, technology business, vibrant communities. And some of them even managed to get a seat for their children into the local universities. So on a positive note, I would say that the influx of the family officers, they does bring new ideas, technologies, and vibes to Singapore. But on the other side, right, we as the residents staying around here, we notice that our housing has become more and more expensive. So even like a normal government housing that is subsidized by our Singapore local government is now overpriced to about 1 million Sing dollars. So that's equivalent to about 687,000 euro dollars. And to put that in perspective, the size is about 144 square meters. for that amount that you're paying. So if without that, right, on the normal days where we don't see such a high influx, right, the normal pricing is probably around 480,000 euro dollars. So that is also a 42% increase in our normal government housing prices. Wow. So people that says very much about talent pool over here, and people are actually earning slightly much more on the salary wise. Renter on the other side has softened a little. Yep.
But and I guess the challenge is to find ways to grow that don't rely on adding lots more people into what is already, quite a populated environment. Because the banking infrastructure, the professional services infrastructure in Singapore is first rate, isn't it? So I suppose it's coming up with ideas that you can work with foreign capital from the infrastructure that's already in place.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not about coming up with new technologies, but rather than how they can integrate and work together to fit into the system and to bring it to the next level.
And there's a great opportunity in the fund management space, which is an area you've got great expertise and insight on. Why don't you give us a little flavor of that opportunity?
Yeah, for me, right, I am consider myself quite lucky. So I was formerly from the private wealth space, and I managed to transit over to become a fund manager, being granted the license by the Singapore government. So for Singapore government to grant a fund management license, right, to put in context, during my days, there's only 800 approved license. So I'm one of them that was awarded their license. And besides that, I run a Cayman SPC fund. And then I have also ran a Singapore variable capital company structure and investment vehicle. I have been there, done that. I've also liquidated the funds itself, liquidated the fund management company. Currently, right now, I'm sitting in Singapore Fund Directors Association, which we train independent fund directors. And I'm the subcommittee lead. I'm actually the training coordinator for independent fund directors. Right. So for the opportunity for the fund management arena, wow. I think the first question is to ask, right, is why do you want to come to Singapore? Of course, we know that it's a strategy location. Like just now I was mentioning, traveling out here to do business is within a day, can be within a day. Very straightforward. We have 4 airports. We have 1 private airport. It's less than 1 hour travel up to Malaysia, less than 2 hours to Indonesia.
As well, aren't they, Mike? The airports are world renowned. They're famous, aren't they?
Pretty much on the media, I would say. Yeah. So doing business here is very easy. For the neighboring countries, there's a lot of opportunities. The government has strong governance, good network, good framework. There's no lack of talent pool. And of course, the government also welcome businesses over here. That includes the various tax incentive for sending out officers and structure locally. Right.
And what are some of the frictions and downsides? I mean, there is obviously an opportunity. You've got great infrastructure professionally and, with people there in this fund management space. But what are some of the pain points that people might have when they're looking at that area as well?
Yeah. So the pain points that people get is that while we want to access entry to the market very fast, but the key thing over here is that to apply for a fund management license, right, it can take up to 1 year or more. As we speak right now, because of the high influx of the people that is coming in to set up their offices over here, the licensing can take up to 1.5 years, sometimes even up to 2 years, right? So this is the key part that for consideration, if you want to set up a fund management company locally, you need to put that into space. So don't come in with a mindset thinking that, hey, I submit my application today, 3 months down the road, I can get my license. So that's not going to be possible. Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the key pain points. The other one is that when you are submitting the license, right, there might be certain cost and opportunity that is involved. Yeah, so you need to consider that of this cost and the opportunity cost for you.
So you need to navigate. You need to have some understanding of the market, obviously, to navigate it. But it seems like the upside is there. The growth in the sector looks very compelling.
Yes, yes, it looks compelling, and there's definitely a demand for various types of asset classes managers to be established over here.
Yeah, so I mean, give us a flavour of the fund managers on the different assets. I mean, when I was in Singapore with you last time in 2022, we met people on the digital asset side, which is evolving and growing, but also fintech, AI, other sectors. Give us a sense of what the fund managers are looking at over in Singapore.
Right. Yeah. So the fund managers wise, right, they are mostly looking at like ESG, AI, technology. For family officers, we talk to a few of the family officers based over here. Majority of them are looking at like AI related funds, and about 35% of them are interested and they believe in blockchain technology is here to stay. They are still taking a look on on whether that investment is going to do. And a larger portion of the family officers, they are looking at long-term kind of investment, mostly is looking at private equity to invest in businesses that can hold on for a couple of years for their legacy planning. There are still a bigger portions of the high net worth individuals that is looking at discretionary portfolios that is well managed by fund managers. Yeah. So there's also private other forms of smaller ends one like private credit. Of course, the real estate funds are the main favorite for high net worth individuals still. Yeah.
Okay, and on the high net worth side, the private banking element of Singapore's offering is also very strong. What's your assessment on the state of the private wealth scene in Singapore?
Well, so from the private wealth scene, right, we actually see it start to slow down a little. This is due to the Fujian gang. Have you heard of that? Yeah. So that was in the CNA news. So what happened is that there was this AML issue that by some Chinese people that actually blew up. So that appears in the news for about close to $3.8 billion. And then there was some Japanese case that also blew up that about $1 billion. So that actually put out a very big red flag on AML issues that is happening on how our local banks is taking into doing their AML and CFT, right? But the good news, still the good news is that we do welcome business, and that but right now it takes longer to set up and open up a bank account with the private bank itself. Yeah, but of course Singapore do offer a stable economic environment. They are growing wealth, strong regulatory framework. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, the Singapore private wealth sector still remains on a growing and rising. It's just that it takes longer to open up the bank account, and then there's still plentiful of due diligence that's in place to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and what advice would you give European firms looking at doing more business in Singapore, either on the funds or the wealth side?
If you have friends here, don't just listen to what they tell you. Come here and see it for yourself, right? You can take it as a trip, right? Just come and take a look, understand what is here. You know, there's a saying, you got to see to believe. There are plenty of events happening monthly. You can come visit. These events are free. Come and network, come and have fun. And if
But have a
PCD
few
is
beers,
yeah. Well, this is a very small town, you know. So people here believe in cooperation. So if you are just thinking of flying in and doing business, it's not going to work here, right? Yeah. So just it's a country full of rich culture, experiences, and food. So you get all walks of life. So number one, I would say that you need to learn to adapt to the cultural differences, embrace that diversity and inclusion, right? So the business wise, try to understand. You can read out more that we are a very innovative ecosystem. Then Singapore is committed to technology adoption, right? If you need more information, I can send that over to you, David, and you can share with your listeners. Yeah. So yeah, just come for a 1 or 2 days tour visit. try to get to learn to go for some networking events, understand the culture, the environment before you start to do the business.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And just looking at the different parts of the region that might be served out of Singapore, what are some of the cultural norms or things that advisors less familiar coming in from outside should think about and grow to understand?
For advisors wise, a few keynotes for doing business across the region in Asia is that Asia cultures itself, right? We still place a very strong emphasis on hierarchy and respect for authority. So when you come here, just be a little bit mindful, right? There's some difference in the seniority, the authority. So they like to save their face, right? So for one example, when I visit a neighboring country, I was talking to the manager, and I completely forget about his superior. And after the talk itself, right, I can see that his facial expression actually changes, right? So what happened is that when I go back, right, I actually send a box of chocolate over to the office. After I know that the boss, right, actually likes chocolate, so I sent that over, and that was quite nice. He dropped me an email saying thank you for that. So over here, right, it's still a people relationship kind of doing business. Yeah. But the concept over here, there's a Chinese saying, Asia saying of saying saving face. It's just like it's equivalent to the English of giving respect. Yeah. Yeah, so building strong personal relationship based on trust and rapport is very crucial in many Asia cultures. Yeah. So I just be a little bit mindful when handling local customs and etiquette for the advisors. That is what I would like to share. Yep.
And how do you work with professionals who want to be doing more business in Singapore? We've heard of the opportunity, some of the challenges. How can people get more skilled in this area?
Right. Yeah. So for me, I solve on the pain points of advisors who wants to set up their fund management company locally, or they would like to come over here to set up their family offices, set up over here, shop over here. So how do I do that? Right. I solve their pain points by running a educational course. So I have a course that talks about how to establish your fund management company in Singapore. It's spread over 2 days. It's a branded learning. It's taught by myself and invitation of industry experts as keynote speakers. So for example, right, let's say this fund manager, he wants to set up his shop. He has 50 million on hand from his customer. Offhand, he knows that by charging a 2% management fee, he has a 1 million profit at the end of the year for his company already. If there's performance, he probably rip in another million. So he straight away knows that he has $2 million ready to take. But the key part is that he might not understand the culture over here. He might not understand how to set it up. And he doesn't have the network, right? So if he comes and attend this course that I'm teaching, we usually start by a preview. Well, he probably pay a $2,000, just for example, right? What is 2,000 to a 2 million profit that he's going to take back? Yeah. So instead of coming here and banking on each and everyone's doors, that is going to be challenging because he doesn't know who is he's going to meet, right? Yeah. Just like when I started out my business, right, as a fund manager, I get a lot of people that comes to me, but mostly are service providers. So they will be sending me their quotation. Oh, this is what I provide. This is the amount that you can pay. And the other one will try to undercut. Oh, I'm actually $500 cheaper. Yes. So this kind of situation also happen in Asia. Right? Yeah. So by me doing this, right, I help them to solve that pain point. I cut down on their timing. I cut down on their cost. I introduce them to the correct industry expert in compliance, tax, fund admin, legal, and also solve their concern before they even get ready to set up. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you're pretty active on social media as well. I mean, where can people find you if they want to follow you and learn more about this market?
Right. So you can come on to LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. My social media name is Mike Sim, right? And on LinkedIn itself, I have this newsletter which I publish bi-weekly. It's called Leaders Lens. On Leaders Lens, what I do is that I interview Singapore asset managers, MDs from various industries. So people that I have interviewed, just a few of the names like Singapore Fund Directors Association Chairman, there's Apex Managing Director, there's Trustmore Managing Director, so and many others. So it's very interesting. It is just a written style form of interview. So they shared about what are their challenges faced, what is going to happen that they feel in the market for Asia in the next 3 years, 5 years, what is ESG, what is AI. Yeah, so have a read on them. Yeah, and happy to answer any questions.
And finally, Mike, if people are jumping in and coming to Singapore for a few days, what would be your top tip as where they should eat or what they should do? What's your sort of insider local bit of knowledge that they should take away and definitely don't miss while they're in town?
Oh, wow, that's a good question, David. I guess they should sign up with David first, then you can organize a tour. Yeah, that's yeah. So probably they can stay somewhere around the CBD area. The CBD area is pretty near to Chinatown, so they can have a flair of work and understanding the culture. Yeah, so that would be quite fun. And food is everywhere, very lovely. Anywhere is easily accessible. Yeah, yeah. We should do a one tour for them. Yeah.
Great to talk to you today and look forward to catching up again soon. But thanks for taking the time to lift the lid on the latest trends from Singapore.
Thank you, David. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed myself today. Thanks.